So, Bill, I still don't get it. You pick the least partisan issue that's out there to be your lead thing to go out there after. This bill, the bill for the PUC passed by almost 100%. So there's no partisanship on that. So,
which is exactly the problem. Both parties are the problem. That is you perfectly described the problem. They're all bought in on this issue.
Right.
Let me use you for a Sam commercial.
The idea that thing passed.
So here's what I want to hear from Sam.
Everybody shake in their boots.
That's right.
I mean look, I want genuine and authentic bipartisan collaboration work done. Not when Big Daddy with all the bucks says, hey, y'all know everybody is I'm y'all pimp, y'all my little biatches, and y'all do what I say, and they work together.
So guess what?
They work together then. It's kind of like your brothers. Everybody got siblings, right? You fighting with your brothers and your sisters, and then your mom, your daddy's come in there, and you be like, y'all stop doing that. Then everybody look at each other like, Daddy say we got to stop fighting each other. That's what. That's how that.
So Sam, let's say Sam gets 30 legislators elected to the House of Representatives. Then the lobbyists just come in and they buy off those guys just like they do everybody else. You guys aren't offering any solutions. A lot of pragmatism, a lot of talk about, oh, we're going to bring everybody together. Bring everybody together to do what? What is your solution? That's the issue.
Tell me the issue. Tell me the issue. Tell me the issue you want to talk about. If you don't want to talk about the grid, tell me what issue you want to talk about.
Let me use the border as an example, right? Allow me to use the border example, right? We can't get the border work done simply because the GOP and the Democrats are dug in on each side of the border and aren't willing to work with one another to get it done. So, for example, Bill, you asked a question earlier about whether or not this was a setup job for Senator Harris or Vice President Harris, excuse me. And my response is the Bidens don't have an answer. And what I mean by that is they don't have an answer for the border outside of the confines of their argument.
Well, hold on. Sam does?
They can't go outside. They can't go outside of the argument that rallies their base. If they
so let Bill address that issue.
Look, Sam will ultimately have a platform committee and they'll develop these particular issues. We're guiding on overarching, but what I would counsel the Sam party to do is go back to the Bush 43 plan, which is a very specific plan, Bob. Charles Foster drew it up, and I think it solves the problem. It has about 10 planks in it, all the way from, worker visas to a foolproof ID card for people that come here, to a system that gets away from the quota systems from country, that adds a huge number of refugee judges to adjudicate those claims expeditiously. I think Bush 43 had it figured out. I think Charles Foster is, in my opinion, the most brilliant immigration lawyer in the country, laid out the plan. Bush tried to get that passed, and it couldn't get passed because the Republican base didn't want to. They thought it was going to hurt them politically. That's what happened.
I worked with Charles
Foster,
but it was a pragmatic problem. But the problem is that it's all giveaway up front and no border security.
That's not true. That's absolutely 100% false, Bob. That is a partisan talking point. That is not what was in that plan.
Bill, I would help develop that plan, okay? So I was in those meetings. I was there talking to him.
Bob, that plan absolutely included a lot more border security. And look, I'm 100% in favor of border security. I'm 100% in favor of a wall where it works. I don't think building one for the whole 1,400 miles makes any sense, but where it's needed to try to stop immigration, I'm in favor of that.
Usually I'm arguing with them. This is interesting. They're arguing with each other.
The problem is both sides want their pieces first. We'll do our piece and then we'll do the other piece. Give me border security, then I'll fix DACA.
You know why that is?
Do it all at the same time. There's no reason not to do the whole thing at the same time. And that's exactly what Bush 43 proposed.
It's not what Bush 43 proposed. That's just not true.
Hey, Greg, quick question.
Yeah. Can y'all see me?
Yeah.
Can y'all hear me?
We can't hear Tony. We can't hear Tony.
Tony's muted. Hey,
Tony, you hear that?
In this brief break, congratulations on 300 episodes, you guys.
Yeah.
People don't
you ahead
to watch me. They want to watch you guys and hear from you guys. So thank you.
You
No,
said
And how
I
fitting,
mean, Greg,
how
you
fitting
only
is it
missed
that we did our three?
you barely missed 10 episodes out of 300. That's great.
Actually, only 3.
I told you. Okay, one head.
He
One
went through.
head. Yes. That's
And-
I mean that's amazing.
Hey,
That
hey,
is
Greg.
amazing. That's very I mean, that's really good. But let me tell you something, since y'all want to talk about this partisan shit. Look, let me tell you, this whole thing, I'm serious, because you know, the fact that Trump came in and erased anything that he could to send Obama. When Biden them came in, they did the same thing. Some of the stuff Trump did at the border, hell, it worked. But they didn't want to say that, and they didn't want to do that because they didn't want to give him his props. I'm telling you, the main thing about this that pisses me off so much is that, okay, yeah, you say send the people back, shutters. What about the companies that hire illegals? Y'all don't do a damn thing to them. And most of their asses are Republicans. You don't do nothing. You haven't done nothing for years. But then once you finish using them, it's like, oh, don't let the next generation come by. If we would have just left in place some of the stuff we had, then we could get a grips on our own country. I don't think you all get it. 2020 gave the nation PTSD. The nation. People, I mean, who thought they had their life on lockdown.
By the way, Tomaro,
and then the government said, we shutting down. So what you had on lockdown is gone.
now the narrative is there's not enough workers. So exactly what you're saying. Now you're hearing not enough workers.
Hey, Greg, people to sit on their couches.
One quick question, Greg.
No, and Bob is right. No, Tony, Bob is right. It's because we pay people to sit on their ass. One thing welfare told us, when they started doing the work for welfare, people got off their ass, found out they had a brain, started using it. You don't give out free money. You don't give your kids money for doing shit. If you don't get your kids up off their ass when you die, they will be on their ass. You got to work. That is a requirement. You got to have purpose. You got to get out there.
Well,
if you stop giving them this free money, they got no choice. But this is the problem. When people are so damn used to getting stuff for nothing, that's why they feel they can rob your ass when you just try to go to HEB to get a damn a thing of milk. This is why you teach people work, damn it. Shit.
Hey,
Greg,
one quick thing, Greg. I want to make sure this is on your radar.
Tony, then Bill.
So today, as I was chatting to you about, Chief Finner, who's been doing a lot of engagement with the Latino community, he's giving the formal HPD apology to the Joe Campos Torres family today at 1 p.m., which is a big deal because that's been over 40 years in the making. So it's a big historical moment, you know, and I think it's fantastic that he's doing that.
Hey, you're gonna MC that, aren't you, Tony?
I'll be the MC that for the family.
Okay, Bill, you go.
Yeah, I was going to say, Tony, I think you might find this interesting. I've met with a number of current elected officials who are thinking about leaving their political parties. 3 of them were Latino Democrats. And the reason they were thinking about leaving is because, first of all, they said, defund the police my ass. About half my family works for law enforcement. And the one guy was down in the border, he said, including a bunch of people that work for Border Patrol. They said, you know, we're devout Catholics and the Democratic Party disrespects our faith and looks down on us because we don't believe in abortion and some of these other things. And the third thing that they said that I thought was pretty interesting, a lot of them are involved in both oil and gas and small businesses, and they see the Democratic Party really hurting their future economic prospects. Now, they completely abhor the Republican Party. They weren't about to go to the Republican Party, but all 3 of these were saying, you know, look, they were talking about running as independents or joining a third party, but they don't like either party right now. And it's really been sort of fascinating, the response we've been getting from Latinos this last week.
Marcus, I see the wheels turning. I never know what you're thinking, but I'm always interested.
I'm just thinking that, you know, this is it's hopeful, right? I applaud Bill and the rest of the members of SAM for, you know, taking this step. And as Bill stated on that clip, you know, the data shows that a lot of Texans, a lot of Americans are ready for something different. We just hadn't had anybody that had the courage to step forward and get out of this comfort zone of 2 parties. And as a result, we get this this load of crap that we're in, where we just get these bought out politicians that just do whatever's in the best interest of their private pockets or the best interest of the preservation of power for their party. I do want to do a shout out. We did our 300 episode, but it's so great that it falls on June 27th. Shout out to Houston DJ Screw, RIP, and the Screwed Up Click, a pioneer in the music industry, a pioneer in Houston, put Houston on the map. A lot of other hip hop artists, you know, creativity at its finest. I'm banging some Screw today for sure.
Hey, Bob Price, you still with us?
I think Bob binged out.
Yeah.
Oh, Bob binged out. Okay, well, let's,
Running to
Tony,
the breakfast. He was running to the free breakfast before it ends.
I want to
Oh,
go
yeah.
back to something. Hold on. Let's go back to what's going to happen. Hold on, tomorrow. Let's go back to what's going to happen on Tuesday in Commissioner's Court. What do you anticipate happening?
Well, I plan on going there to speak, and I'm sending out to super neighborhoods. I'm hoping the same thing that happened when they attempted to do this with the constables. Because let me tell you, Harris County has already started defunding the police because they had a reserve amount that they kept behind. Constable Eagleton, Constable over Baird Station, Crosby in that area, they told him that he had to let 2 deputies go because they didn't have the funding for him. And he said, well, that's okay. I still have my reserve. They said, oh no, that's used up. He said, no, I didn't use it up. And they were like, no, we used it up. So it's gone, no rollover. Let me tell you, if Rodney Ellis had to start where Rodney Ellis is and didn't have El Franco Lee's tank that he left in that precinct 1 will have nothing. So how are you going to do that with the constables? In addition, this new executive administrator on the first line, it says, has the right to hire and fire deputies. That should not be an employee's position. That's what the constables are elected to do.
Yep.
How is an employee going to get to decide who an elected official can hire or fire? I'm telling you all, this needs to scare the hell out of you all because
it does. And tomorrow, I got a question.
No, wait a minute. Let me, baby.
Okay.
I'm gonna get back to you because let me tell you, the only reason our taxes did not get raised was because Cagle and Raddick walked out because the state requires 4 commissioners in order for you to raise taxes. But to do this shit they trying to do now, you don't need but 3. Okay? You don't need but 3. I'm telling you, you all need to stop this. Election year is next year. Hell, I'm gonna start a damn petition and start revoking some of their asses because this makes no sense. It makes no sense. Meyerland flooded disastrously. We all know that. Memorial flooded, Greenspoint flooded, King. Flooding is everywhere. You need somebody fighting for your piece of the pie, not a damn employee who is going to do what those 3 said. And what Bill said was perfect. When it was Squatty Lyons by itself, they didn't try this. When it was El Franco Lee, they damn sure didn't try this. And now you're going to try this now and say you're trying to streamline because of some CYA consulting agency that you hired to say what you needed to say? You gonna let that consultant fee speak over the millions of people that voted? Come on, y'all, wake your asses up. Get over there. If you somebody who flooded, you somebody who don't want your taxes raised, you need to have your ass either online or in person at Commissioner's Court on Tuesday. Because this ain't a conversation. This is some shit they plan on doing.
Bill, let me ask you this: what's the legal opportunity here? If I voted for Tanisha Hudspeth for the job description that she has, yet it changes, is that not a legal argument there? If Harris County voted for her to do these things,
yeah,
but then they strip those powers away from her, is that not disenfranchising?
There is a specific state statute that allows the creation of election administrator like they did. The question is whether or not that violates the constitutional office that there is. And I don't know that any court's taken that up. So I suppose it's subject to a legal challenge. But, you know, the problem right now, Marcus, I mean, look, the firefighters have been into this. Trying to fight anything in court these days is just a waste of time. I mean, these courts never make a decision. I think I think that their fight over Proposition B has been in court for 5 years now. Bruce Hotze and those guys who were fighting over the city's, revenue caps it's been in for 12 years now. I mean, just nothing ever gets resolved. So people are just sort of giving up going to the courts to fight this kind of stuff because the courts are just so craven. They're afraid to make any decision they think might be perceived as being political.
Tomorrow, let's drill down a little deeper here. What does the precinct 2 upcoming commissioners race have to do with the pace of all these changes? Look, I think that Garcia is going to be primaried, and he's also probably going to face a Republican challenge.
Let me be very blunt and very honest, as I always am. That's just what it's about, because so many people who supported Adrian, especially in the Black community, who feel he has fired almost all the Blacks that he hired, except for one. They're not going to support him. And when they saw what he did to Eagleton, how he came after him, they are not supporting him. In addition, he was the leader trying to remove citizens' right to hire constables to patrol their communities. So they know he has a Democratic challenger and he has a Republican challenger. And so they're worried about that. In addition to that, hell, they don't know who's gonna be county judge. They don't know who's gonna run. They have no idea. So yes, they are concerned about that. And let me tell you this, they still don't know why the hell Harris County, Bill, you, Marcus, Tony, why the hell we still paying for Rodney storage for that damn art? Shit, we don't know about that. You pimp out a damn warehouse that's supposed to be for broke ass abandoned equipment to the tune of over $100 grand, and all Eversol did was pave some damn driveways, and his ass got indicted, and you still sitting there. And then you gonna tell us, well, we need to watch how we spend money. You mean how you spend money? Hell, not us. I ain't never heard of that. My storage high as hell. Ain't nobody paying that. Why the hell we paying his?
But do me a favor. So let me understand. So you're saying, okay, so if Adrian loses, let's suppose Adrian loses his position. You're saying they're putting the stamp of Democratic power on the commission because this new position would then have leverage over the budget?
Yes.
I see what you're saying.
Well, I think the problem, I think what they're referring to, Tony, is if you got this done before the election, it'd be very hard to undo. I don't much think the Republicans are going to win countywide these days, but I could easily see Precinct 2 flipping back to being a Republican. It's a little bit Republican leaning, and that election came at a time when there were a lot of issues, but there's going to be a strong Republican challenger. I think it's probably going to be the mayor out in Pasadena. I think
let me ask you this: if that were the case, would that not make a move like this unwise? Meaning, whoever this person is that's hired in this position, they're going to be beholden to the commissioners or whoever has control of the commissioner's court, right?
Well,
so
I think it would still be reporting to the county judge, though, which they think they're going to keep. So I think, but I don't think it's so much about that Precinct 2 election as it is. I think they think they're probably going to continue to win that. This is more about taking the power away from Cagle and Ramsey, who currently have a lot to say about what goes on in their precincts.
Exactly.
And I just think, look, I think it's very telling that, for many, many years, 1 and 2 were in the hands of Democratic commissioners with a 3-2 Republican majority. It was a 4-1 for a while, but that didn't last all that long. And the Republicans never tried to do this. They never tried to go in and take away El Franco's, road crews and tell him what to do. They never tried to do that with Fontino or Sylvia Garcia when she was out there. I mean, this really is an unprecedented power grab.
Yep.
And I think that it's sort of the natural extension of this hyper partisanship that we see, as Marcus has complained about bitterly all day today, about this hyper partisanship taking over everything. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Exactly.
And let me see if I get it. You're saying basically this, then each commissioner has their own budget, their own power, but then this will cut across.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
In the
And for
simplest
constables,
form, that's
it'll really
that's
kill
right. Yeah.
them because constables cannot hire deputies. Now we elect constables to hire deputies and be another policing agency for us, and they're saying that the person that got elected is lower than the employee. That math
And-
just does not add up. Okay.
And the rule for years, anybody knows Commissioner Court, correct me if I'm wrong. The rule has been, hey, you stay in your area, I stay in my area. We all keep our
100%.
own budget. I don't touch yours, you don't touch mine. That was kind of like this gentleman's agreement that, and whatever dirt they were doing, they just, they kept it within their own thing.
Exactly. Exactly.
And but I tell you, I think that but if you do polling, county commissioners are typically very popular because they're close to the people. They take care of constituent problems. You got a ditch you need clean out, they run out there and do it for you.
Money.
Yeah, so it's I think it's it is definitely a solution in search of a problem, and it has nothing to do with actually solving a problem. It does just trying to concentrate the power in
amazing to me.
Yeah.
You got Democrats who cry that the Republicans are trying to fix a problem of election fraud or rigging that does not happen, and you accuse the Republicans of being disingenuous in doing that, and then you turn around.
Or what about a mayor? A Proposition B passes with 63% of the vote or something, and then a mayor going out and spending millions of taxpayer dollars to overturn that election. Where's the outrage about that?
Look, I said it then. Once the people speak, that's it. The people spoke. You have to do what the people say. That's what I'm saying. And the thing that bothers me about this whole scenario is back in 2016, if you had heard the stuff on the street about how Rodney even got this seat and all the accusations about how the precinct chairs was paid off with a little fuck ass $500 to switch their vote and flip their vote to how he got the seat. I mean, you would looking at it and seeing where we are now, I ain't surprised. It just showed, like Marcus says, the corruption that's in the system.
And I think
it has infested the whole area.
And what I hope Sam evolves into is an entity that will call out both sides. Yes. I mean, look, moving early voting on Sundays from 11, I guess it started to 1. I mean, that was just bullshit. I mean, that was nothing but to try to, disrupt the souls to the poll. That is 100% wrong. Yep. Sylvester Turner spending millions of dollars to overturn an election, 100% wrong. Somebody's got to be willing to stand up and call out both sides. And I hope that's the voice Sam ends up being in Texas.
And on the other side, Bill, this idea, even though you can't find an overwhelming problem, but this idea of maybe we do need to have some identification with these absentee ballots. Who says it's a bad idea that you need some identification, right? And I get what people would say. They'll say Miss 90-year-old Miss Mary that can't get whatever, but you can't rule out good ideas just because the other people presented them, right? I tell people all the time, as big of a dumbass as Donald Trump is, as a small businessman, the tax cut that small businesses got as a result of this legislation was tremendously beneficial to small businesses. You can say what you want about big business, you can say what you want about the Bezoses and the Walmarts and the Amazons and all of that good stuff. But Main Street went from paying 40% tax to 20% tax. I'm rounding numbers, of course, on their profit. And any small business, man, that is of value to them. But the Democrats won't hear that because it's a tax break, and that's where you get locked in these arguments, and you don't have anywhere to move.
Because Trump said it, they won't hear it because Trump said it.
They won't hear because Trump said it.
I think we need to nominate Marcus Davis as Sam Governor candidate.
Hey, look, I wanted to, before we got about 6 minutes left and we all have business this morning, but look, I was at City Hall for the vote on the water rate, and there was a concerted effort to postpone. Everybody agreed we're going to postpone implementation till September 1st, thanks to the super neighborhoods. But look, we just have the potential to have $1 trillion in infrastructure money at the federal level. And I can't think of any greater example of needed infrastructure than the sewage system in Houston, Texas. But it seemed as if they were rushing to get this thing on the books because the mayor had his votes lined up when they could have waited to see, hey, within the context of $1 trillion, Houston's going to get some of that money as the leading port city, as the soon-to-be third largest city in the country, as a city with impending environmental concerns with discharge into our waterways. But they pushed that sucker through. I mean, what's your take, Tomaro?
Look, first off, the week before that, I don't want this to go unnoted. You had 100% tag on an item. Greg, that has never happened. You had 100% tag. Everybody around that horseshoe tagged it, okay? Except for Kubash, who wasn't there, okay? So we were really looking forward to him tagging it so we could delay it because we wanted to discuss it. It only got tagged 100% because, as I said, when Carol Haddock was there, we slammed her. We were like, no, y'all just shoving this down. And it was coming up within 14 days. So I'm wondering if this is another one of those cash cows that they wanted to get on the book because they figured if the infrastructure bill got passed, they wouldn't be able to do it. Because I'm telling you, the detention fee, that is a cash cow. It is a cash cow. That's all it is about. It's not about nothing about flooding for the city. The city has this detention fee, and that's so they can make money. And then when we rebuild Houston, we ain't never stopped getting charged for that, even though the money is not for that. This was to get this. I mean, look how heavy that is. 68%. See, that's a high-ass rate. And then to use 3,000, she could not answer us when we were like, where did you come up? If you're a family of 3, and a family of 2, and you only use 3,000 gallons of water, that's a funky ass house.
I'm thinking about starting a petition to dissolve city council because nearly as I can tell, they are the single most worthless body, in the universe.
Marcus Davis came under fire the other day. We were talking about raising the minimum wage mandatory to $15. And he had to say, like, wait, I mean, this is one of those things that goes right onto his bottom line. I mean, you got to use a lot of water at your establishment. And where's that money going to come? Can you spend it on higher wages? Or nope, I got to pay my water bill. Without water, I can't function. No one has a job. I mean,
right.
Am I being too simplistic?
No, I don't think you're being too simplistic. I know we talked about that this started before, Sylvester got here, and that, this was an issue that we knew that was gonna come up. The infrastructure bill is a blessing, right? Because we get to solve the problem that exists. We just don't want to wait. But outside of the infrastructure bill, how does the city get the money that it needs?
Oh, look, I think they absolutely needed to raise the sewer rate because the wastewater system in Houston has been a mess for decades. We've been out of compliance with the Clean Water Act since the 1980s. We've been in a series of consent decrees, and it's absolutely true that this last deal, they're making us go spend some money. And frankly, it's probably not nearly as much money as we need to spend. So, if they'd have come in and said, we need to raise sewer rates by this amount, and it showed us this is the amount that it's going to cost, and this is how we're going to amortize that cost off, I'd say, great, I'll vote for that. But this is also a 43% increase in water rates. There's no justification for that. I mean, there's nothing, we don't have any EPA objections to our water system, and mostly this is to cover, I think, the fact that Northeast Water Plant is now 50 or 60% over budget for what they originally said it was going to run. And so you've got gross mismanagement at the city and all these departments. And instead of digging into any of that, city council sits up there with their photo ops and runs out and, holds, dog park openings and this kind of stuff, instead of doing the hard work that you need to do to dig into this stuff and demand information and say, I'm not going to vote on this administration until you give me this information so I can make a rational decision. We have no idea whether this was way too little money, way too much money, the right amount of money. They just absolutely picked a number. And if you go read the consultant's report, it's all about how does this compare to other cities and all the, there's nothing in it that says, you know, we've got to spend $2 billion. If we amortize that off over 20 years with bonds, this is what the bond payment would be. And so this is how much we need to raise rates. That's what you would expect. That's what a businessman would expect to see.
Exactly.
There was none of that. It was all about exactly how much pain is the market willing to bear.
Yep.
And
That's-
nobody
that
on
was-
council
that was-
asked those questions.
That's my whole point. Bill, you hit it on the head. When
Yep.
you know that the market will do X, and look, if car rental prices are up 50%, right? To rent a car is 50% more than what it was. Will that go back down once this crisis is over? No, it's going to drop down to 25%. It won't drop. It will never go back to where it was.
True.
So
True.
if we get this tax on us, even when we solve the problem, it will never go back to where it was. And that's the dangerous part.
Travis,
Here's the real problem.
Councilmember Travis proposed a rollback provision, did not even get a vote. A rollback after 5 years when the work was done. They just said, hey, well, that's up to the next council. And you heard the
here's
soundbite. Travis says it's like herpes. Once you got a rate increase, it's
That
forever.
was
What did Carolyn Evans, what
But
was her amendment?
Here's the problem. Here's the problem, guys, for the city. So Marcus is not going to move the Breakfast Club out of Houston because of this rate increase. He's stuck here. He's got to pay it. But the problem is the next guy coming in is going to say, well, you know what? I really don't want to do a restaurant here. I'm going to do it in Bel Air, or I'm going to do it just across the city line or just across the county line. And that's what's happening. The value proposition for living in the city, or frankly, living in Harris County, or starting a business here is going down all the time. When you start having more people move out of your county than move into it, which is what happened to Harris County for the last couple of years, you need to set up and say, hey, there's something going on here that we need to pay attention to. People can vote with their feet. They don't have to put up with this.
Bob Price joined us back, and I wanted to ask him because he's got a unique perspective. I'm not going to say exactly.
He's in his motorhome. Look at that. Wow. How
I'm not going
cool.
to say exactly where in East Texas Bob has a lovely home. But Bob, are you seeing more people coming out there?
Oh, absolutely. Houses in this area where I live are selling the day they go on the market at above asking price. And it's all people from Houston that are coming up there, getting out of the city, voting, as Bill said, with their feet and heading for the woods, heading for the lake. So that's what's going on with that. And it's sad for Harris County, but it's of their own making. You know, they voted the people in that are creating these situations, and now they're going to deal with it.
You know,
I want to say on today's program, if we have a digital check mark for when Marcus and Tomaro agreed with Bob over Tony, Bob was the clear winner today.
I didn't see that. I missed that.
You know, I've been buying tracts of land up in the LaGrange area and subdividing and selling them off in smaller pieces. We literally cannot get a piece divided. I mean, as soon as it's divided, it sells out. I just did 126 acres, sold out in 6 months. I mean, we can barely get it.
It's amazing all around. You know, if you draw a perimeter about 90 miles outside of Houston, you just see real estate getting sucked up as fast as people can get it, and moving forward. And I'll tell you, the other business that's booming out in rural communities is the RV community. People are putting in RV parks, and literally they're filling up, and it's not having any negative impact on their competitors down the road, because more and more people have figured out that they can travel in the convenience of an RV and not have to put up with hotels and the COVID and all this other stuff. And it's a great way to vacation and move around.
Except Houston's
Let me jump
opening
in here.
again.
Let me jump in here real quick. We had to bump this segment. We're going to do it next week, but it was a great report by the Kinder Institute this week that showed we have a permanent class of renters in Harris County who will never never, ever reach the opportunity of buying a small home and home ownership. It is 60% renters in the city of Houston and growing. It is more than 50% of renters in Harris County and growing. And the gap between what it takes in terms of income and what people are making as the median income in Harris County to afford home ownership has tripled since 2010. Tripled. And that is a big problem for a city.
But let me add one thing. Let me add one thing in there. Generation Z doesn't care about a big house. They want to work for SpaceX, Google. They're willing to go anywhere. So I think that younger generation.
Kids.
Well, that's
wait
different.
until they get married. Wait until they get married and have kids. They'll change their mind about all that.
Hey, no, Greg, that's a good point, because when we were fighting Chapter 42, which is the city ordinance that allowed the densification of 4th Ward, Washington Avenue, and Midtown, we were saying, yes, you want to say you need all this and everything. I said, wait till they have one baby. I said, these going to end up being projects. These going to end up being ghettos. Let me tell you, Fountain View Apartments over there off of Chimney Rock, man, those places used to be the place to be. When back in the day, when Favre was building all those apartments, oh, they were high end. Man, some of those places, every time you look around, you got a murder. So if you build for this transient community, because they may love apartments now, but let them get one baby. Damn sure don't let them get two. Man, they like, okay, we out of here. I don't care if we got to move to La Mesa. We going where we can get us a house. I'm telling you, it will not last. That is something that they need to look at. And they're not looking at Fort Bend County, Montgomery County, Brazoria County. They are growing. Harris County is not.
Here's a staggering statistic that Kendra put out. 1 in every 4 Houston families is spending more than 50% of their income on housing.
Wow.
Wow.
More than 50%, 51% of Houston households are spending over 30% of their income on housing alone. That's unsustainable.
And it's a huge turnaround from a decade ago.
Okay, but
Greg, be an affordable city.
But Greg,
And if I can go back to your point about with the kids, about when they have kids, they'll change their mind. From what I'm hearing from the Gen X or whatever the current generation is that's coming up, is they don't want to get married and have kids. And I think that's going to be a tragic situation for our country.
Guys, I got to go guys, I'm having a party over here for some people. I need to go get ready for them. But I want to give y'all one stat to think about for a second. Last month, more people were murdered in Harris County than died of COVID.
Look, that's what he's right.
Wow.
I'm not talking about the damn crime.
Hey, Bob, keep your phone handy. I may FaceTime you and walk around the room, okay?
All right. Sounds good.
All right.
All right. I'll
Hey,
see you guys in a little bit.
Thank you all for
party.
your
Thank
contribution.
you all. Thank you,
Awesome.
Facebook.
See you guys later. Bye.
Bob is getting RV endorsements, but hey, that's smart. Bye, guys.